Hey guys, it's Alex with Hammond Watch. I'm here today with the Casio Edifice EFSS510D-7AV. And I was hanging out in Jewelry Works picking up some watches, and this was hiding in the back of the G-Shock case. And I thought it was a pretty sharp chronograph and wanted to share it with you guys and just do kind of a quick run through on its specifications. Thanks David for lending it in. If you guys are interested in this or anything Casio or Seiko, David's my authorized dealer. He's a great guy to deal with. His contact details are below. If you're ever looking for anything specific, just give him a ring. He's pretty good at being able to track anything down. The sizing on these is nice, a little large. You know, it is a chronograph, and a lot of times when you're getting a solar chronograph, you're going to push that 45 millimeter mark, and that's where this one sits. You're also looking at a thickness of around 12 millimeters, maybe just a shade over, which is always nice and slim, and given the lightweight movement design, I think you're allowed to go a little bit chunkier here and kind of get away with it. Your crown is 5.8 millimeters, just a push-pull, but you do have a screw-down case back, so you're getting that 100 meters of water resistance. Lug to lug is at 50.5 millimeters. And then you've got a nice traditional just 22 millimeter lug width, so you don't have to worry. You will have strap options abound. The bracelet itself is pretty nice. I like the polishing on the sides of the mid links. It tapers down to 20 millimeters, and then we jump back up to 21.8 for a push button clasp with pressed hardware. The case back is really par for the course. You know, a little bit of branding, some basic specifications, nothing too fancy. Although one of the best features of the watch is noted here in that it actually does have a sapphire crystal, which is pretty nice considering the price point that these operate at. The movement on these, solar powered, plus or minus 20 seconds a month. You get a low battery indicator as well as a power reserve indicator. And it runs with for 5 months on a full charge, which is incredibly nice. Something else I kind of enjoy about the watch is that you have a running seconds hand with your big seconds. When you engage the chronograph, which actually is going to be doing the timekeeping, is going to be your subdial here at 6. It will count off up to 60 seconds. And then your subdial here at 9 is going to go through and count up to 30 minutes. The tachometer is a painted aluminum insert. I think it looks really sharp. It's obviously going to get scratches over time, but in general I think that a ceramic insert would have looked a little bit out of place here, and then also bumped the price point up where I wouldn't have really enjoyed it. You know, the Lume application is done surprisingly well. It's not going to be the longest lasting that you experience, but at the same time, you get a nice glow. It would certainly work through the evening hours and giving you some low light visibility. I don't think it would last through the night, but at the same time, not really what this watch is meant for. So it's almost just an added bonus that they took the time to do it well. Here's the dial, kind of up close and personal. So you can see everything looks pretty sharp. The applied indices have a really nice polish to them. The brushing around all of the subdials is really uniform. Limited printing on the dial. I wish that maybe solar powered was just tapered down to solar, shrunken, and then put more in line with the water resistance. But that's kind of splitting hairs at this point. They frame the date window nice. The only things that I've been able to find that I'm not really thrilled about are going to be this. There's a little line that runs through the D up to the actual date window here. I don't imagine that that's something that they designed. I think that's probably a little bit of a production mistake. And the same thing right off to the side here. It almost looks like, you know, adhesive is on the dial where it shouldn't be. It doesn't appear to be applied to the outside. You can just kind of see through and see just a little dark spot on the watch. But again, at lower price points, you're always going to have a couple of those quality control issues. And I still think for the package, as long as I had a chance to review the actual watch and look for some of those things ahead of time, I still think it's a pretty strong buy. So here's the watch on my 7.5 to 7.75 inch wrist. It's got a big presence, but at the same time, being solar powered, it's nice and lightweight. I like the finishes. Again, I know I mentioned it on the bracelet, those polished sides to the mid-links look really nice and tie in well to the case, which has brushing on the top of those lugs and then polishing out the sides. It's not too thick, it's not too heavy, it's going to have a great kind of ownership experience. You know, if I'm buying a chronograph, I really need to like it to go automatic or manual wound, because the servicing cost at, you know what, $350 to $550 for someone that's competent and really knows what they're doing, you know, versus just having a solar powered movement that you don't really have to worry about. You know, you may have to replace a capacitor from time to time, but that's usually relatively affordable and most watchmakers can accomplish that. And I think it makes these an incredibly intriguing proposition, and I'll always be a fan of solar watches, especially chronographs. So let's talk about the pricing really quick. I think that the retail mark on these is really spot on. You know, 100 meters water resistance, solar, chronograph movement, sapphire crystal, retail of $170 USD. If you look around on eBay, you can find this watch brand new for around 120 bucks. Which is even better, but no matter the setting, I'd really urge you to try to find a place to buy it where you can get pictures of the dial sent over and of the actual watch you're buying. You know, I'd hate for you guys to buy a watch and then it come in and have some blemishes or beauty marks that kind of ruin the experience for you. It's an incredibly pretty watch. I know kind of having just one big patch on it can turn people off and even push you away from a brand, and I really like what Casio does with their Edifice watches. If you guys have enjoyed today's video, please give us a thumbs up. You know, it really helps out YouTube's algorithm. It doesn't cost anything, so it's a great way to show your support. Also consider subscribing. I'm putting out watch content weekly at a minimum, and I hope to see you in the next one.